It's wild because it's like this hush hush. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm saying this out loud, but
it's like a shame, guilt kind of thing.
So today we're going to be talking about relationship anxiety. Let's talk about the way that culture builds up the idea of a soulmate. Because I think that because we build it up so much and then we end up with a human, we end up wondering like, wait, is this what it's supposed to be? Oftentimes, and this was my situation, you are with the perfect person for you. You've prayed for them. You know for a fact that they're the one for you. And yet you still feel that uneasiness. Why?
You're my sky, you're my blue. I've been sticking with you.
Welcome back to the Good Love Podcast. My name is Paulina.
And I'm Josh. And here we believe that everyone was created for a good love and it's worth healing and fighting for.
Which is why we begin conversations and provide resources so that you can experience healthy connections. So if you are single, dating, engaged, or in early marriage, this space is for you. And before we jump right in, baby, I just wanted to check in and see how you're doing.
Life updates. I was last week in Salt Lake City. Got to go back there for work. And it's beautiful there. It's actually just like the mountains and the weather. It's just gorgeous. It's a really nice place.
I love Park City specifically. I want you to take me there for like a winter trip.
Yeah, that's a really nice spot too.
And
for sure.
I was chilling here, waiting for you, sleeping all by myself, a little scared. Okay, because I grew up in the city. Okay,
I know.
My bedroom was on a big Ave, on Bedford Ave in Brooklyn. Okay,
I know.
So like an argument at like 3:16 in the morning is what's comforting for me.
It's too quiet here.
It's what's a little
it's a little
lullaby.
bit weird. Yeah,
so
for
over
you.
here, yeah, it's just quiet.
Well, you also lived in a building where you had family like on every floor and
in
across
every room
the thing.
surrounding me.
You have everybody around you.
So
you still
being
got
in a
family
big
here
old
and people
house-
around here. It's just they're spaced out. It's not right next door.
I'm still getting used to it. It's been 4 years and I am still getting used to. Well, when I sleep with you, I am perfectly fine. It's like sleeping alone that I'm still kind of getting used to. But
Exactly. Well, thankfully the trips are pretty short. They're not super long. So
yeah.
that's
And
a
we
good
have
thing.
neighbors who are amazing and who know us and take care of us. I know that, but it don't be checking into my heart when
Yeah.
I hear the thunder.
I know. Yeah, like thunderstorms and stuff doesn't help.
The thunder in Texas
It's different.
is different.
It's different compared
So
to
it shakes up a whole house.
It'll shake the whole house. That's right. If you're not ready for it, it's like startling.
You know what, baby? And today we're going to be talking about something that shakes up relationships. I'm kidding. I am totally kidding.
Good segue.
This topic is something that is so near and dear to my heart because, first of all, it almost sabotaged our relationship early on. And then second of all, having gone through that and then now being a therapist, I realize it's so common and people rarely talk about it.
This is something that comes up in your practice. Like these are
Yes.
common things that are coming up and nobody wants to really talk about it.
Baby, it's wild because it's like this hush hush. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm saying this out loud, but
It's like a shame, guilt kind of
yeah.
thing.
So today we're going to be talking about relationship anxiety, aka relational doubt. And yeah, it's something that I'm very passionate about because I think about it and it almost sabotaged us and it makes me so sad. And then I see people going through the exact same thing. And so let's get into it, baby.
Let's do it.
So first of all, let's talk about the way that culture builds up the idea of a soulmate. Because I think that because we build it up so much and then we end up with a human, we end up wondering like, wait, is this what it's supposed to be? And the other part of that is oftentimes, and this was my situation, you are with the perfect person for you. You've prayed for them. You know for a fact that they're the one for you. And yet you still feel that uneasiness. Why? So
Yeah, if
we're
it's
gonna get into
Mr.
that.
Perfect, why would you feel any kind of anxiety in any way?
If you're everything I've ever prayed for, then why doesn't it feel like peace? Which,
That's a great question.
You know?
And that's a great way to frame it, because again, this is something that people feel.
Yeah.
And you might even deny that feeling because, I can't have any type of these thoughts because this is perfect and it needs to be perfect.
Yes.
And in reality, lots of people deal with this. And hopefully this could be just some light shown into this area that can help free some people.
Yeah. So to that point, there's this study that the University of California completed in 2012. And we haven't studied like relationship anxiety just yet, but they did study people getting married. The title of the study is "Do Cold Feet Warn of Trouble Ahead? Premarital Uncertainty and 4-Year Marital Outcomes." If you guys want to check it out. Anyway, they checked out 464 recently married spouses, and they asked whether they had ever been uncertain about getting married. Baby, at least one partner in 2/3 of couples reported that they had some doubt as they were getting married.
Wow.
So that is extremely common, right?
Right.
And yet it's something that we keep hush hush, that oftentimes we don't even bring our partner into.
Wow.
And that can, baby, I think that it grows. If it's not dealt with, it really does grow, and it can ruin a beautiful, beautiful relationship.
Yeah, it can sabotage. I think it's just one of those little things that the enemy can put into a relationship just to try to create distance, right?
Yeah.
We always say, like, you're either getting closer together or you're moving away. There's no neutral.
Yep.
And this is one of those things that are going to slowly help you drift apart rather than get closer together.
So we watch all these fairy tales of the princess and the prince coming in. We listen to these songs, to music. We see couples then also on social media. And with all of that, when you're single, you're formulating what a relationship must be like.
Right. Okay.
Right? And then you meet your person, and as wonderful and magical as they are, they're human. So they're going to have human days, human moments. There are going to be days that are just normal. And when people are stuck in that relationship anxiety, they're questioning everything. And I think personally that it is rooted most of the times in fear of choosing wrong. Oh my gosh, like, is there somebody better for me? Is this what a relationship is supposed to look like? Is there somebody better for them? There's also the fear of abandonment that I think can happen. And we're going to get into it because, okay, everything's perfect. Nothing's wrong. He really is everything that I've ever hoped for. She really is everything that I've ever hoped for. But yet there's this underlying anxiety, right?
Yeah.
And it really is just fear of, well, what if this ends? I want to hold on to dear life to not completely falling, because what if it doesn't,
Right. Well, I mean, we build it up so, especially in the Christian world, we can really
talk about that, baby.
We can really build up this perfect person that God has planned for you since the beginning of time, and I have to find that one person, and if I don't find that person, then it's like God's second best.
We glorify like the wait so much that when the person comes and they're the one, it's like if you choose wrong, then like your calling is off. I don't know what even happens.
I don't know. It's just, it's such a pressure, and like, you better not mess it up kind of a feeling that then once you do feel like you found that person, then you're like, wait, is this the person? I don't know.
Right.
Is this the right? And you can kind of be stuck in this, well, if I have this person, then what if they're not with the person that they're supposed to be? And that can just be like, it's almost impossible to try to hold all of that in your head. So you're going to feel some type of anxiety in that.
Yeah. Yep. So I think that the trouble with this is that then when you are in relationship, you're not fully there, right? You have one foot in and one foot out.
Right.
And so some of the signs, like in case, I think that for people who are going through this, they don't need signs. They know that they're going through it. But for maybe a partner to recognize, I think one of the signs that I've seen is that person may set up like relational tests. Maybe not because they want that person to fail, but simply because they want to have that reassurance that this is the right person for me.
Got
right?
it. So how could that look like?
That can look like, well, I mentioned that my favorite flowers are yellow, and I'm going to wonder if he's going to know to pick me up these flowers, because then he sees me. And
it's like that reassurance.
He gets me. Because a soulmate just gets it, just knows.
Should be doing these without any kind of like, they should always be doing this and almost like meeting all your unexpressed expectations.
Correct.
Okay.
And so there are those kinds of different tests set up. I think another way is they're caught up in overthinking, and they have that plan B set up.
Right. Which is very common. Like, I think I saw something on Instagram that literally talked about that people will have another person in mind as like a backup plan. If this doesn't work out, I've got another person that I have in mind, which is kind of crazy if you're literally, if you really are thinking that at all times and you're not fully present with the person that you have as this is the person, then that's going to cause some type of anxiety. That's going to cause some type of disconnect within your marriage, within your mind. Like, I that would be tough.
And the crazy thing, baby, is that unfortunately, this relationship anxiety, unless it's dealt with, it doesn't get resolved. It just stays there. And people go year after year. I remember reading Michelle Obama's book, Becoming, and she mentioned something about her mom. Like, and every summer my mom would wonder if this was the person for her. And people can go a lifetime, in that insecurity. And then you look back at pictures, you look back at moments, and all that you see in that moment was, man, I was wondering if he was the one for me, or I was so anxious about the relationship that I couldn't enjoy that. You get what I'm saying?
You were so fixated on something that maybe after you got past that and you realize that this person is the person for me, that you have that time period where you're just like, man, I really wish that I just would have understood at that point that this is the person for me.
And I think that here's the thing, baby. When we keep that relationship anxiety just tucked away and it's just my thing to carry, it's going to continue to grow, because the antidote to it is actually letting a person in to be in that with you.
Yeah. Right?
So 2 of the main things that I see as causes for relationship anxiety are, number 1, emotional needs are not being met in a relationship. And for example, maybe your person is working too much, or they're not really attuned to you.
Yeah.
So they're not meeting your emotional needs. So you're caught up thinking, is this the person for me? Which I think is completely fair.
Sure.
And then I think another reason that people end up experiencing relationship anxiety is because it's actually being in relationship is triggering old wounds from prior attachment needs that weren't met.
Right.
And I think that was the category that I fell into. And I want to kind of give that example to really help people understand. So you came into my life. You were everything I had ever prayed for. I was extremely attracted to you. And yet, when you would come visit me in New York, or when I would come visit you in Texas, because we were long distance, there would come a point when I would just completely shut you out.
Yeah, it'd be like the day before.
The day before I would leave, or you would leave.
Yeah.
And I would stay in my head thinking like, dang, is he the one for me? Because if he is the one for me, then why am I feeling like this? Like, I don't want to be with him right now. you know what? Yeah, I can't wait for him to leave. Like, go on, get in that plane and head on out.
Yeah, you were almost like setting up some walls to protect yourself.
Yep. And then with that, I had the feeling of wanting you to leave, of I don't care. And on the other hand, I really missed you. I liked you a lot. There was nothing wrong in the relationship.
You didn't want me to leave. In that, like you were saying in the other one, you were saying, well, go ahead, leave. I want you to go. But in this other side, it's like, no, but I do like him. And I don't want him to be here. I want him to stay.
Yes.
You know? Yeah.
So then I ended up going to therapy because my grandma's had passed away and I just needed to, get some counseling. And in that, as I'm like processing my childhood and things like that, I realized, wait, the first man I ever loved, my dad, there came a point where my parents divorced and then I was living in the Dominican Republic and he would say goodbye, get on a plane and leave.
Yeah.
It wasn't because he didn't love me or because he loved me any less, but little me was processing that as some form of abandonment because where is the man that I love? He's gone.
Right.
And so older me can recognize, hey, he had to go work. He was extremely present. He loved me. It was just the situation. But younger me couldn't quite recognize that because at the end of the day, the person that I needed, that I wanted, wasn't there. He had left.
Yeah.
And so then fast forward, and the second man that I love is peacing out, is getting on a plane and leaving.
Right. We got to spend great time together and be together, and it was so amazing. And then I have to go back.
Yep. And so it wasn't anything wrong that you were doing. I had my whole life and things that I had to get to, but those old relational wounds that had nothing to do with you, had to do with my attachment with my dad, was being flared up, was being triggered, was coming up. So because of that pain that I had experienced as a little girl, with you then, fast forward to dating, I'm setting up my walls because I need to protect my heart because I don't want to be hurt again.
Exactly.
Right? Mm-hmm. And so then what would I do when those walls would come up unconsciously? Well, then I'm looking at you and I'm like, I don't even like him that much.
More on the critical side.
I'm pushing you away.
Yeah.
I'm starting to criticize you, in my head, maybe not out loud, but I'm criticizing you. Because if I can tell myself that it's not that big a deal, I don't like him that much, then, hey, at least I'm protected and he can't hurt me in the same way.
Well, you would even say like, oh, if this didn't work, I'd be fine.
Isn't that crazy?
I would be okay. Like, life would continue. I would be good. You would sometimes verbalize that, which would be, really uncomfortable and to hear. And it would just be like, what are you talking about? Like, and on my end, I'd be like, man, that's really tough to hear. But thank God, like I had at least, the Holy Spirit letting me know like, hey, just relax, that there's some hurt and different things going on that she has to deal with. Yeah. And thank God, like you eventually did. Mm-hmm. You did deal with that and you did come to these realizations, and that absolutely helped tremendously. Yeah.
And so again, I think the reason why relationship anxiety comes up, first of all, this idea of a soulmate is built up for most of us, whether that is through the messages we receive in the world or even within the church of this one of, remember like youth, my hot wife is walking in, you know what I mean? Like this person whose calling is perfectly aligned to yours.
This perfect person that God showed me and I knows exactly what I have to be. And if I miss out on this perfect person that God has prepared for me ahead of time, then if I miss that, then everything is off. Yeah. And how much pressure that actually is, where that's not necessarily the case. Like God is big enough to be able to hold lots of different possibilities of exactly who you got to be with. Exactly. And we don't necessarily give him that. We make it think like there's one, that's it. And if I don't, it messes up everything.
Which is wild to think about because surely other people have messed up. So then does that mess up the order for everybody else?
The logic behind that literally doesn't make any sense. One person messes up. That is a chain reaction for everybody else getting messed up in some kind of way all throughout history. Like how does that even work? that doesn't let God be sovereign.
Exactly.
Like there's a sovereignty of God. He knows what's going on. He knows what's going to happen. And he also is directing those steps.
Yeah.
So we can trust and be relaxed and understand and be secure in the fact that God has led me to the person I need to be with.
Yes. So if you are experiencing relationship anxiety, you are not alone. It makes sense. Like it's been built up your whole life through conscious and unconscious messages that you've received.
Yeah.
And 2/3 of couples, at least one person experienced some sort of relationship anxiety before getting married. So you're not alone.
You're not alone. This is a normal thing that a lot of people experience. You don't have to just suffer in silence by yourself, thinking that something's wrong with you for feeling this.
And so oftentimes what is happening when that relationship anxiety is going on? Number one, maybe your emotional needs are not being met by your partner. That can be addressed.
Absolutely.
And then number two, maybe you have either an avoidant attachment style or an anxious attachment style, right? Because of your past. And so that's being triggered. That's flaring up being in relationship. Yeah. And the only way to resolve that and to heal that is in relationship.
Right.
Is leaning into it. So I would say, baby, the first antidote to all of this, and really the antidote that we want to talk about, is if you are experiencing relationship anxiety, instead of continuing to hide it away and to carry that all by yourself. And I want to say, I am so sorry if that's been the case so far, but I want to encourage you, get curious about it.
That's good.
Get curious about that. What is it that your body, what is it that those emotions are trying to tell you? Is it that, hey, my emotional needs aren't being met? Or is there something that God is trying to heal within you that because you keep stuffing it away, you can't come on the other side of this to really experience that secure attachment, right? Right. Instead.
Yeah. And so when you're saying like get curious, does that mean like that you can talk to the other person about it?
I think so. And before we continue, baby, I actually wrote down a quote that I think is extremely relevant. And this is how it goes. It says, you can have the same relationship with 1,000 people, or you can have 1,000 different relationships with a single person. It's up to you to decide. The ones who maintain a vibrant, fulfilling relationship are those who understand how to reinvent themselves and actively create and build their relationships. And so they keep the energy alive. And this is by Esther Perel, who's an incredible therapist.
That's really good.
And I think that is the reality. When the reason for your relationship anxiety is, for example, that second part that we were talking about, insecure attachment style, you are thinking that the solution to it is a different person. But in actuality, you may start a relationship with a different person and just completely replicate the same thing over again.
Yeah, you're just going to do the same thing.
And the worst part is, baby, that then it reinforces that insecure attachment and it just grows and grows and grows and gets worse over time.
Wow.
And secondly, if it's that your emotional needs aren't being met, guess what? Maybe this person isn't meeting your need for A, B, and C, and this other person meets them, but there's going to be some needs that next person is also not going to meet. So regardless, you have to learn to communicate what those emotional needs are.
Yeah, and if you keep avoiding it, it becomes that much harder to then do it if you keep running from that fear.
Yes.
Or that uncertainty. And what if I say this and it doesn't go well and it gets even worse? It's like if you are afraid of public speaking or if you're afraid of flying or whatever the case might be, and you keep avoiding and you keep running away from it instead of leaning into it and trying it and doing it, every time that comes up, it's going to be, the fear is going to be that much worse.
Yeah, because then the cycle that you're setting up there is I'm feeling relationship anxiety. So then I'm believing that this is the wrong person for me. There must be somebody else. And in believing that, then what? Then
you start sabotaging it subconsciously, maybe consciously or subconsciously, where this is the wrong person for me, then I'm carrying that belief and I'm going to start behaving in ways that are only going to start creating distance.
And in that distance, then I'm going to be hurt because, man, you really don't get me. I really am alone in my human experience. Whatever else we start to believe, which then leads to what? More relationship anxiety, because clearly you don't get me. You're not my soulmate. You can't guess what I'm going through.
It just gets worse.
Which then leads to you're not my soulmate.
Yeah, it just keeps reaffirming the fact that this is not my soulmate.
More relationship distance.
Yeah.
You don't get me. Leads to more hurt.
Right.
And we continue that cycle. That's so sad. And so I love that part of the quote where she says, you can have the same relationship with 1,000 people, because that cycle is something that we will continue to replicate in other relationships, right? Oh, the grass is greener on the other side. And you get there and it isn't. Like, how deflating is that?
Yeah, I mean, eventually you do that cycle enough, you go to the next person, you never dealt with the underlying issues. So those are still going to be there.
Yep.
But not only that, now you have even higher walls, more hurt and more baggage that you're taking into that next person. And that's never going to be resolved unless something happens.
As opposed to a cycle that says, I'm experiencing relationship anxiety because it is okay to experience doubts.
And it's going to happen.
You're a human going through human experience for the first time ever. So you experience relationship anxiety. And then instead of believing, so this person must not be my soulmate, you choose and say, no, this is my person.
Yeah.
I chose them. They chose me. At the altar, we said yes to one another. So that eliminates all the other stuff.
Yeah.
And so from there, then what? Then I can either, as I get curious, maybe it is attachment fears that I have going on and I get therapy or counseling.
Sure.
Or maybe I lean into my person and I let them know, hey, baby, I'm feeling a little bit anxious about it. Sometimes I feel like I have doubts, or whatever that case is.
Or those emotional needs that you communicate that these are not being met. That you got curious, you started to realize that maybe I just want to spend more time with this person, or some fundamental need is not being met.
Yep.
And then you actually lean in.
And as you lean in, then again, either you get the therapy, you get the counseling that is going to help you as a person, or you're able to lean into your love, your person. And then from there, what happens? You experience some healing, you experience connection, that safety, right?
Yep.
And then from there, then there's connection.
Exactly. There's a drawing closer together.
There's a drawing closer together. And the cool thing about that cycle, baby, is that the more that it happens, the more that's replicated, the less that relationship anxiety happens. Because the actual needs are then able to be met.
And there's healing that's happening.
Correct.
Versus more sabotage. So the next time that there's anxiety, you recognize, there's some anxiety happening in this relationship.
Yep.
How can we look into healing that and drawing closer, because I know that this is my person. So
if the relationship anxiety, right? Again, you've listened to this podcast. So now you're able to think through, okay, there could be different reasons that it's coming. If you feel like, I think my relationship anxiety is coming because my emotional needs are not being met, then what, right? And we want to start establishing that second cycle where you're letting somebody in to it. You're not carrying it all by yourself. Then you can say and start asking, what am I needing right now?
Exactly.
Do I need comfort? Do I need you to just hold me right now? I'm feeling so scared. I'm feeling afraid of the future. I'm feeling afraid. I need comfort.
I just need to know that you're not going anywhere.
Am I needing belonging? Am I needing to know that truly I am your number one, that you will swim across an ocean for me?
Exactly.
What is it that I need? Then I can start to really understand that uneasiness, that need that isn't being met. These needs are okay. You should have
Exactly.
relational needs.
Well, I would just say that when we experienced that and you were honest with me and just said some of those things that you were feeling, like I have a choice of how I want to be able to respond to that.
Yeah.
Right. I can get super defensive and be like, oh, you're not in this, like I'm in this, blah, 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 and then just get offended and get mad. Or I can understand like, hey, she's not really talking about, like she doesn't know that it's me.
Yeah.
She does know that it's me, right? Like we've talked about this so much. This is a moment where there's some anxiety, there's some doubt, there's whatever. Guess what? You're going to get through that. So I can be there to support and comfort and say, okay, what do you need to feel more secure in this relationship? You know? And one of those things for you, I think, was, hey, I'm not going anywhere. I'm coming back. Don't worry. Right. And reaffirming those things. And whatever the case might be for somebody else's relationship, if somebody's being vulnerable and real with you, you get to hold their heart and see how they're literally like pouring out their heart to you. You get to decide how you want to respond.
Exactly.
And I would hope that we would respond in a way that's only going to draw us closer together rather than, well, I can't believe she's doing, I'm not dealing with this. It's like, guess what? So what? We don't all deal with the same struggles.
Exactly.
Okay. There's going to be something that you're struggling with that other person's going to need to be there for you in. And that's okay. We all do this together. And that way we grow closer together.
That's such a good thing that you're highlighting, baby, because it's like there's empathy for the person feeling the relationship anxiety and also for the partner who's on the other receiving end of that. Man, I'm being tested. You're not sure about me. What does that say about me? But if you're able as that other partner to recognize, oh, like in my case, it had nothing to do with you, baby. It had to do with the fact that little Paulina had experienced Papi leaving.
Exactly.
And how hard and devastating that was. And how then God was able to use you to heal those parts of me.
In a corrective way.
In a way that said, baby, I'm with you and I will get on a plane to you in any second. And then for me to be able to consciously recognize I'm not in the same position anymore. I'm an adult now. Like there is no abandonment. This person's fully in it with me. Matter of fact, my dad was never even abandoning me then. You get what I'm saying? Like that is healing.
Absolutely.
And so it's wild because it's like, well, but then how do you fix it? Actually, as you start to bring these things conscious, it's no longer something that you're reacting to. It's no longer just this unnamed thing down here.
This constant buzz that's always there.
As we look at it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we're able to say, wait, you see that too? Huh. It just hurts less. That's healing. It no longer has that radioactive like power over you.
Yeah. And I will say that it does help when the person is bearing their heart and that there is this vulnerability and this trust established.
Yeah.
That, you know what, one thing for sure that I knew that helps with any kind of like me reacting or some type of relationship anxiety is that divorce or separation is not an option.
Yeah.
Period. Like there is no option on the table for that. So I know then, okay, that's not what you're struggling with. You're struggling with like, did I make this or that? And there can be that type of uncertainty and that happens. But I know that the result of that is not going to be divorce. Is not going to be that.
Right.
So then we can work together because it's like, girl, you're stuck with me. Like we're stuck. We're joined at the hip. That's it. And we're going to grow old together.
Yeah.
So we have to work out and figure out a way to move past this or to heal or to however we need to communicate or what do you need so that we can move forward together. It
provides that safety. And I think that is so much like God to set it up that way. He could have set up marriage in any way and like, hey, you could be married for 15 years and then find a different person. And instead he's like, no, like I want it to be this lifelong thing. And we could see it as like, oh, the bowling chain. Or, man, it's this like infinite safety for you to heal and for me to heal and for us to like journey through life together. Because, yeah, that's not on the table. So if that's not on the table, and it is you and me, then what are the other reasons that this might be happening for me? You get what I'm saying? Like,
exactly.
So the second part that we were talking about is, hey, maybe your relationship anxiety is actually stemming from an insecure attachment style, right? Our attachment styles, and that's actually my modality, and a lot of how I do therapy is based on attachment theory. And so we're definitely going to be diving into that. But specifically, if you have an avoidant or an anxious attachment style, right? If you are having relationship anxiety that is stemming from those things, and because of like stuff that you've heard about like attachment theory before on social media and so on and so forth, if you feel like you resonate with that, then a way that you can really deal with that is by, first of all, replacing the fantasizing, right? The daydreaming about whatever this other thing is.
Sure.
And decide like, no, I'm in this with this person. That's the first thing. So that's exactly what you were just talking about.
Right.
Okay. And then the second part, baby, is if somebody recognizes, actually, I think that it's beyond my emotional need, right? Which could be because your partner is not really paying attention to you. Maybe they're distracted. You guys are busy right now.
Life happens.
So all of this can be improved on, right? But if the reason is a little bit deeper, and this is the category that we fit in. Okay, he's perfectly romantic. He's the gentleman that I always dreamed of. He is amazing. But I still feel this uneasiness. I still feel this relationship anxiety. Then that is probably based in your attachment style. As a baby, as a child, there may have been kind of this attachment that was set up, whether that's anxious or avoidant. And we'll definitely get into these things in the future. But I think most people are familiar with them because of social media.
Right.
But when there is an insecure attachment style, understand that that relationship anxiety that you're feeling is because you're trying to protect yourself. Right? Like, and I get it.
Yeah.
You had other situations in your life that proved to you that love wasn't safe.
Right.
That relationship isn't safe. And so maybe in singleness, you were chilling with your friends and all this stuff.
Yeah.
But now that you're in this vulnerable state, this stuff is coming up, which, by the way, would have never come up if you had stayed single. Like, there's stuff that is going to come up simply relationally.
Yeah.
So now you are finding yourself actually vulnerable and you actually care. And it would really, really hurt if this person left or if this didn't work out. Like, yeah, if you have an insecure attachment style, of course you're feeling that uneasiness.
Yeah.
And so what we would say to do is, if you're not married yet, I would recommend going to individual counseling or therapy. It was extremely helpful to me.
Sure.
And if you are in a safe relationship, that attachment, right? All that story within you that says relationships aren't safe is only going to get healed as you have experiences that prove to you otherwise.
Yeah.
That prove to you, oh, wait, you are coming back. And again, and you love me and you see me. Oh, you're here for the long haul for real, right? That's how that gets healed and that gets disarmed.
That's good.
So we hope that this really helps somebody out there that may be experiencing relationship anxiety. I hope that you feel like, okay, I'm not the only one. Oh, it's not super wrong for me to be thinking this. It's actually more common than I realized. And I've been holding all this weight all by myself, right? This isn't a verdict on how successful your relationship is or is not going to be. And again, like that quote that we mentioned, you can have the same relationship with 1,000 people, and you can also have 1,000 different relationships with a single person. And so we want to encourage you that as you establish a new cycle, and we spoke about you can go this way or you can like there is healing. There is another version of your relationship waiting to happen on the other side of you getting curious about that relational anxiety.
Yeah. I think that's really good, babe.
Anything that I might be missing?
I think that you covered everything. I think everything is good, but I would say this, that even in a perfect environment in the Garden of Eden, where there was no sin, everything was perfect. You couldn't get more paradise than the Garden of Eden, walking in with God and everything. The enemy came in, slithered in, and can speak little lies and put that doubt in somebody's mind. You know, did God really say this?
Wow, babe.
Is this actually the person that God gave you? Is this, and it can just create that, even in a perfect environment. You can't get better than that. We live in a fallen world. So how much more can the enemy come in and just try to plant little bits of doubt in your head?
Yeah.
And what a great way for the enemy to just try to rob you of experiencing a good love.
Yeah.
And that, oh, well, maybe this is, oh, did I make a decision? And you can go down that the enemy's still doing that today. So, you know, this is a very common thing. If it happened in a perfect environment, it's still going to happen today.
How much more in our fallen world? And I love that, baby, because it isn't to say that they weren't in paradise. They were literally in the Garden of Eden, and they experienced doubt even there.
Even in that.
How much more in our relationships? Like, you can be experiencing paradise. You can be experiencing such a beautiful and healthy relationship.
Exactly.
And yet here you are comparing yourself to people's highlight reels, which we all fall victim to. But like, I think that that's such a great parallel, baby, that you're drawing.
Yeah,
like, how much more?
Well, and it goes even deeper because it goes into your relationship with God. And is God going to withhold good from you? And is he going to not give you his best?
I agree with you.
And then you are questioning. So you might be questioning that relationship. You might be questioning that person. But even if you go maybe a layer even deeper, you're questioning God. And that's just what the enemy wants to do in your life. He wants you to question God. He wants you to question, does God really have a plan? Does he really understand what I need? Does this, you know, and I hope that we can kind of expose that a little bit and to get it out in the open and not to be ashamed to talk about it and to realize, like, hey, the devil is not a fair player. He's going to speak lies. And it happens. We sometimes believe those lies, and that's okay. But now we realize that it is. So let's get through that together.
I love that, baby. I think that that's perfect. And not to just lasting on that. It's not just like, if they experience doubt, then how much more us. But even in paradise, they experience doubt. You may very well be in paradise, and it's okay to experience doubt then.
Yeah.
And I just think that the enemy loves to keep it in the dark, because even if it doesn't end up in the relationship ending and you figure out that relationship anxiety at some point, you know, you've had enough positive interactions that kind of shuts down and goes away. Like, I want to encourage people to get curious about it now, to look at it, because I don't want even one more day to be robbed of just the peace of being in relationship and experiencing
That's
good
really
love.
good,
So
babe. Very good.
Anyway, baby, I loved doing this with you again.
Yeah, I think I pray that this helps a lot of people.
Me too. So
Very
if
good.
you enjoyed, make sure that you like, comment, and subscribe. I know that this is a vulnerable topic, but if you are somebody who has gone through relationship anxiety and maybe you're on the other side of it, I'd love for the comment section to be encouraging people who are currently in it, if possible. So we shared a little bit.
Maybe that you got through it.
Yes.
And you're a testimony that,
exactly.
hey, something might seem like this is such a horrible issue right now. And I'm so happy that I didn't do a permanent decision in a temporary issue.
That's really good. And I think that, as a parenthesis, I always say, this doesn't apply to the 3 A's, right?
Exactly.
Where there
that's important.
Abuse, addiction, or an affair. That is a different story.
We're not talking about
altogether. We're talking about this is a committed relationship. This is a person that you love, that is a great human being.
Yeah.
You have started building a life together, and yet you're still caught up on, man, but is this the right person for me? Is there a better person? That's who we're talking to. And so we hope this
Good call
helped,
out.
and we'll see you
Next
on the
week.
next episode.
You're my sky,